Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going ahead and doing a review on NWA Power for January 7th, 2020. Overall, decent wrestling, good storyline progressions, a solid show. My only issue with this show is why in the fuck would NWA bring back one of the most over-the-hill superstars in professional wrestling today? He is so fucking dead, it's ridiculous. He is not the same Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. Yes, that's who was introduced tonight for a challenge that Nick Aldis offered to Rick Morton from the Rock and Roll Express. If his team, with him and Robert Gibson, and they're choosing of a partner against the Wild Card and Scott Steiner, then Bob Morton would get an opportunity for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, the thing I have a problem with is logic. This was not logical at all. Why would you pick Scott Steiner? You're talking about Nick Aldis constantly bashing superstars who are over the hill and are old and, lived out their time. They have no substance to them anymore. They have nothing for them to move forward with. They're not going to bring any buzz to the wrestling business anymore. They've done everything they could. So why would you bring in Scott Steiner to be your replacement in your spot of the 6-man tag team match? To me, it makes absolutely no sense. Now, if they brought in a guy, maybe considering Marty Scurll being his replacement, and if Marty Scurll actually wins for his team, he would give him the shot, or what have you. Sorry, there's something on the screen. It was bothering me, so I try to wipe it off. But anyway, why would you go ahead and pick Scott Steiner? I mean, couldn't you bring in Killer Cross maybe? That would have been something more interesting. A little bit out of the box. Definitely nobody was expecting to see Killer Cross join the NWA. But chances are he didn't sign with the company, so that's probably why, obviously. But Scott Steiner, sorry, can't buy into it. Think it sucks. Bad choice for replacement for Nick Aldis for the 6-man tag team match. So, didn't like that part, but the rest of the show was pretty darn good. We kickstart the show with Tim Storm being interviewed by Dave Marquez to kickstart the show. And let me see if I can find something here that gives me the information I need. It was Ricky Morton, not Bob Morton. I'm sorry. So basically, what happened here is, they had a interview with Tim Storm, kind of going over his feelings about Nick Aldis being a coward, not wanting to go one-on-one with Tim Storm, and he feels Nick Aldis is a coward. He says that, if you're a true champion, you give the fans something to remember you by and not be afraid of any challenge that's put in front of you, and yet you walked away from a match, even though, you don't really need the television championship. but you took away the opportunity of giving the fans a great match that would have been for 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Now, granted, my personal opinion, I'd like to see them lift the ruling off of Tim Storm, because Tim Storm is probably the most believable challenger right now that should get a shot for Nick Aldis's NWA World Championship. At that point, Camille comes out. She takes the microphone away from Dave Marquez, and stands there holding the microphone in front of Tim Storm's face. Not really saying anything whatsoever, just kind of standing there holding the microphone while Tim Storm talked. He kind of talked some smack about Nick Aldis to Camille, and talked about the fact that he thinks that Camille is, just a sidekick to Nick Aldis at this point. And she didn't really like that, nor did she like the last comment that came out of his mouth about Nick Aldis being the last thing. And she slapped him clean across the face. So he was pretty pissed off and mad about that, as he should. So that was basically that whole spot right there. We also did have some new information off of the NWA Television Championship matches that were pulled out of the drawings to determine who would get a shot at the two opponents that would face each other. Zane Dawson and Paul Dawson are actually going to compete one-on-one against each other. And it was actually Joe Galli, excuse me. I thought it was Dave Marquez to interview Tim Storm, which was not the case. And then from there, we had Dave Marquez was interviewing Trevor Murdoch, the Dawsons, and Anastasia was actually pulling the names out of the drawing. Murdoch said he thinks that he can actually beat every single person in the tournament. Anastasia drew Zan Dawson's name, and then fans started chanting that Dave Dawson, wrong name, Dave Dawson, not Paul Dawson, was the actual pick to face his brother. The fan was actually cheering and stating that it would be a Dawson versus a Dawson, and Zane Dawson kind of was saying shut the fuck up, which led to this. So a graphic listed Dawson versus Dawson for next week. Marquez noted that the only two names that were left, so that meant Murdoch would face Tom Latimer in another qualifier. Zicky Dice versus Caleb Conley in a qualification match here for the NWA television title. This match, I think, was pretty solid by Caleb Conley. He actually carried this match mostly. But the sad part is Zicky Dice defeats Caleb Conley to qualify for the NWA television title. Now, if you're a follower of Impact Wrestling, this is where I found Caleb Conley. He was actually in the X Division, I believe, with Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett. With those two guys, so I believe those were his colleagues that he worked with in a faction for the X Division whatever. Sound like a fucking idiot here. Anyway, yeah, so that was pretty much that. After some advertising, Galli also interviewed Aaron Stephen and the Question Mark in front of the ring in the empty studio. Stevens said Question Mark has taught him not just about martial arts, but who he is as a person. Stevens said he decided to bring Question Mark to this country where he feeds and clothes him, as if he's his own adopted child. I'm just adding that in there based off of what I'm reading here. And Stevens said he didn't want to use the word civilized, but he wants to get Question Mark accustomed to the life on this side of the globe. Yeah, okay, he looks like a foreigner. My ass. Anyway, Stevens continues to talk about him wanting to. He never needed a title to be a star, but the best needs the belt. Stevens pointed out to his national championship belt and labeled it the third degree national championship. Stevens said he and question mark have a bond that is forged in combat. Stevens said question mark is a 10th degree black belt in Mongroven karate. Question mark interrupted to say karate in a special, unique way, which I don't quite get and really don't care. Stevens spoke about their plan to take all the gold in the NWA. Galley asked then, who's Stevens going to defend the national championship against? Stevens then starts to backtrack himself, pretty much. Goes ahead, this interview's coming to an end. He says he could see that they were getting to the cue to wrap it up in the interview, and he said they would get all the gold because they deserve it. Question mark closed by saying karate again. Wow. Whoop-de-fuck-you-do. Aaron Stevens, I'll be honest with you, the guy that I saw sitting in that chair did not seem to be Aaron Stevens at all. I don't know why, it just seemed like he looked different, sounded a little bit different. Didn't sound like Aaron Stevens with the voice. His voice seemed a little bit different, a little bit more down, not up. And he didn't seem all energetic and whatnot like he usually is. But that's not here or there. I'm assuming that was Aaron Stevens, but for me, it looked a little different. Just to me, I think it was a stand-in maybe. But hey, who's to say that that was Aaron Stevens or not? Quite frankly, I'm not even qualified to even say if it was or it wasn't. But it didn't seem like it was him. It would seem like he was a look-alike almost. But that's not here or there. Next was Thunder Rosa versus ODB in a one-on-one match. ODB loses this match to Thunder Rosa in a very decent women's matchup. I was very impressed with this match. This match was a pretty decent matchup altogether. Alright, so then we go ahead and we have Galley interview the NWA World Champion Nick Aldis on an interview set. Now, I have to say, Nick Aldis is a very impressive heel here. He is very good at what he does. The only thing I have to say, like I said earlier, Scott Steiner being chosen, I think was the biggest fucking waste of a pick to replace yourself in whether or not you would be determined to defend your championship. I mean, last night on Monday Night Raw, we have fucking Big Show helping out Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe against the Architects of Pain with Seth Rollins and AOP. So, hey, you know, I don't know. This, to me, seems a worse pick than the Big Show. Because at least the Big Show can somewhat move around the ring. He looks like a little bit more of an intimidating guy, being as tall as he is. And he probably could still move better than Scott Steiner can in his sleep. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Point being is, I don't get why Scott Steiner was chosen for this angle. But I think it absolutely sucked. And that really sticks out at me as a sore thumb. Because I've seen Scott Steiner wrestle recently in the last year or two, and he is absolutely horrible. He is nothing like what he used to be. Anyway, so Aldis came out and acted surprised by the heavy boos from the crowd. Galley pointed to the stack of papers on his desk and said he had a list of questions to ask him. Aldis said he was telling the truth when he said that Camille was no longer his insurance policy. Instead, she is a member of Strictly Business. Galley asked how Aldis could justify the faction's actions toward Tim Storm. Aldis said that Storm is a relic in a rearview mirror and that he's an old-timer. as well as Ricky Morton, and is another carny trying to make a living off his hard work. Aldis said that Morton is a legend in the tag team division, but that's far as it goes. Again, like I said, this seems a little bit hypocritical for Nick Aldis to be talking so much trash of guys like Tim Storm being an oldie, Ricky Morton being an oldie with his tag team partner of the Rock and Roll Express, but bringing in Scott Steiner to take his spot. Again, fucking retarded. But that'll be the last time I mention this. Alright, so Aldis goes on to... Aldis spoke about how people like Storm were saying he didn't want to be in the tournament because he couldn't get the job done. Aldis said the only place he can't get the job done in 6 minutes and 5 seconds was in the bedroom because he goes all night long. Oh, wow. You had to mention that. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Who gives a shit what you can do in the bedroom? So Aldis brought up his past praise of Ricky Starks. He said he's like the Oprah or Tyler Perry of wrestling because of the way he's making people. Okay. He said he would make Starks in 6 minutes and 5 seconds, and a graphic shows up about pre-ordering Hard Times in an NWA merch ad aired. So there you go. So Nick Aldis and Ricky Starks in a non-title exhibition match that would go 6 minutes and 5 seconds, trying to prove a point that he could put away Ricky Starks in 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Unfortunately, this match went to a draw, and there was no finish to this match. So it was an actual draw. Ricky Morton comes out and he wants to go ahead and extend this match for an extra 5 minutes, giving Ricky Starks an opportunity to possibly get the win or have Nick Aldis win the match altogether, just to close out the match and not end it in a draw. He refuses to do that, and Ricky Morton says, so how about you go ahead and give me 5 minutes, and I'll go ahead and beat your ass in 5 minutes and win the match. And Nick Aldis goes ahead and gives a loud no to that as well and left the ring. That was pretty much all there was on that. So, from there was the main event. This was James Storm and Eli Drake against Colt Cabana and Ken Anderson. This matchup was an okay matchup, especially for a tag team match. There was a little bit of friction going on at the end of this match with Colt Cabana and Ken Anderson because Mr. Anderson, the asshole, decided to get them disqualified and put his hands on the referee because he thought the referee was making a bad call for his team. So that left the referee no choice, decided to disqualify him because he felt it was out of line. And that was the end of the match. James Storm and Eli Drake walk off, satisfied with having the win and just going away. Colt Cabana was pretty upset with the situation. He felt that Anderson was better than that and was very surprised by his actions, going ahead and costing them a match where it could have led to some kind of tag team gold. Or a tag team championship opportunity, I should say. So that was pretty much the whole situation on that whole entire match. At that point, like I've already mentioned, they Team Morton versus Team Aldis in a 6-man tag team match. Whoever gets the win, if he was to win, Ricky Morton's team, he would get a shot for the NWA World Championship. And that would be that. And there you go. And they mentioned Scott Steiner, and that was all there was to it, and that's how the show went off the air. Well, overall, good wrestling, decent storyline telling, progression was building, and my God, for 1 hour, NWA could put on a better show than Monday Night Raw last night. That's pretty fucking pathetic. The only thing they messed up with, like I said, was the Scott Steiner ending of the show. Other than that, I don't have any major issues with this show. This show was okay. It got the job done. It built a story. It's leading towards the pay-per-view of Hard Times. I believe that is on January, the weekend of Royal Rumble. So I think that was, January 24th. They're having their pay-per-view on a Friday. So overall, they did a good job with this. They got 2 weeks away, and they've already built up a good enough show, better than the Royal Rumble. Now, I'm not trying, I know I'm comparing WWE to NWA, and NWA being a small little dinky promotion right now that haven't done anything or really gotten off the ground yet. But they actually build storylines on this show compared to fucking Monday Night Raw, which I watched last night, gave it a full 3 hours. 3 fucking hours. I could not believe I sat through 3 hours of Monday Night Raw live. Usually I've been watching the Raw and SmackDown shows on the weekends on my own free time. If I catched it, great. If I didn't, oh well, who fucking cares? But I went ahead and I catched Monday Night Raw because of Brock Lesnar, all that jazz. If you don't know the information about Brock Lesnar, go check it out on the internet. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you already know what's going on with Brock Lesnar and what he's doing. But bottom line, guys, this show was better than Monday Night Raw. Anything is better than Monday Night Raw. Fucking Impact Wrestling is better than Monday Night Raw. It's really sad that, and I know I'm comparing this, but it just troubles me that a 1 hour show like NWA can pluck out enough storyline progression and get some kind of interest, or at least get you to feel like they're trying to, produce a good show. Fucking WWE doesn't seem like they're trying to produce anything except for NXT. So, to me, it seems like every show is trying to produce something, while WWE just sits on their asses doing nothing. So that's just my little rant there at the end of this video. Anyway, guys, hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you on that. And I thank you very much for your time. Have a great night, and I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you. Bye.